All right, hello everyone. If you're gearing up for your LLB Semester 4 exams at Osmani University, then you have come to exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep and break down all the key concepts from Unit I of your Intellectual Property Law syllabus. Let's get you ready for those exams.
So think about it for a second. A huge blockbuster movie, a vaccine that saves millions of lives, and, the very design of the smartphone in your pocket. What's the one thing they all have in common? Well, it's how they started. They all began as an idea, right? An intangible creation of someone's mind. And the law has this really powerful and unique way of protecting those creations. And that, right there, is the world of intellectual property.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. It's designed to line up perfectly with your syllabus. We'll start with what IP even is, then get into why we bother protecting it. After that, we'll cover the main types of IP, touch on some new and emerging areas, and wrap up with the key legal stuff you absolutely have to know. Sound good? Let's jump in. All right, first things first. Let's build a really solid foundation here. Before we can even start talking about the laws, we have to get a crystal clear definition of what we mean by intellectual property. Okay, so here's the absolute key takeaway. IP law is all about protecting the intangible stuff, the products of our minds. Just like regular property law protects your physical things like your house or your car, IP law protects things you can't necessarily touch, like a song, a brand's logo, or the secret formula for a new medicine. It's all about giving you legal rights over your own creative and intellectual work. So you can think of IP as having two main branches. On one side, you've got industrial property. This is stuff like patents for inventions, trademarks for brands, and industrial designs. Basically, creations that are mostly used in business and commerce. Then, on the other side, you have copyright and its related rights. This branch covers all the artistic stuff: novels, poems, films, music, paintings, you name it. Getting this distinction down it's fundamental to understanding everything else we're going to talk about. This brings us to a really big question, right? Why do we even have these laws in the first place? Why does society go to all this trouble to protect ideas and creativity? What's the real reason behind it all? You see, it goes way beyond just giving a reward to one person. The real goal of IP law is to build an entire ecosystem that fosters innovation. Think about it. By giving someone temporary exclusive rights, you're creating a massive incentive for them and their investors to pour money and effort into research and creativity. And what's the result? Well, that drives economic growth. It protects all of us as consumers from fake or shoddy products, and it even helps protect cultural traditions. It's a huge deal. Yeah, and this quote really hits the nail on the head. This isn't just a local thing. For this whole system to actually work, you need three things. You need strong, clear laws. You need courts that can actually enforce those laws. And crucially, you need global cooperation. An idea protected here in India needs to be respected around the world. It's a global system. Okay, now we're getting to the absolute heart of this unit. We're about to walk through the main legal tools, the actual mechanisms used to protect all these different creations. So I'd pay really close attention here, because these are the pillars of IP law that will definitely be on your exam. First up, we have patents. The best way to think of a patent is like a deal or a bargain with the government. An inventor comes forward and discloses their brand new, useful, and non-obvious invention to the public. In exchange for sharing that knowledge, the government gives them a limited monopoly, the exclusive right to make, use, and sell it for about 20 years. It's this bargain that really pushes technology forward. Next up, trademarks. A trademark is super simple in concept. It's a source identifier. When you see that famous swoosh on a shoe or a particular logo on a soft drink, you instantly know who made it. That's the power of a trademark. It protects the company's hard-earned reputation, and just as importantly, it protects us, the consumers, from getting confused or, tricked by fakes.
All right, then there's copyright. This one is all about protecting artistic and literary works. Now listen closely, because this is a huge concept for your exams. It's called the idea-expression dichotomy. What does that mean? It means copyright doesn't protect a general idea, like, say, the idea of a young wizard who goes off to magic school. No, anyone can write a story about that. What copyright does protect is the specific expression of that idea, the actual words, the sentences, the chapters that J.K. Rowling wrote. It's the expression that gets the protection, not the idea itself. Remember that.
So, what's the real power behind all of this? It's the grant of exclusive rights. It doesn't matter if it's a patent, a trademark, or a copyright. the law hands the owner the legal remote control for their creation. They get to decide who gets to use it, how they can use it, and what the terms are. It turns an intangible idea into a property right, something you can own, just like a piece of land. And the last one in this core group is something called a geographical indication, or GI. This is fascinating. It protects the special link between a product's quality and where it comes from. The classic example, of course, is Darjeeling tea. It's not just any tea. To be called Darjeeling tea, it legally has to be grown, processed, and produced in that specific geographical region of India. This protection is all about safeguarding a reputation that's been built up, sometimes over centuries. Okay, but here's the thing. The law is never static, right? And that's especially true when technology is advancing at lightning speed. So let's shift gears and look at some of the newer, more specialized forms of IP that are becoming incredibly important in today's world. So as you can see, IP law has had to stretch and adapt to cover all sorts of new innovations. We've got things like plant varieties protection, which is a special system for new types of plants. Then there are layout designs for integrated circuits. That's the super complex blueprint for a computer chip, and it gets its own unique or sui generis form of protection. Then there's traditional knowledge, often called GRTK, which is a huge deal for India, protecting ancient knowledge from being unfairly exploited. And, of course, the big ones everyone's talking about, computer programs, biotech, and AI, all of which are seriously testing our old definitions of what an invention or an author even is. Let's zoom in on a really important Indian example here, the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act. A bit of a mouthful, so let's call it the PPV and FR Act. This law is brilliant. On one hand, it protects a company that invests millions to create a new high-yield crop. But on the other hand, it explicitly protects the rights of farmers to do what they've always done, save, use, and share seeds from their harvest. It's this incredible balancing act between corporate innovation and traditional farming rights. So what about all the software and code that basically runs our entire world? Now, this comes up a lot on exams, so pay attention. In India, you generally don't patent a computer program. Instead, the law gets clever. It protects the program under copyright, classifying it as a literary work. Think about it. You can't patent a mathematical algorithm itself, but the specific creative lines of code that a programmer writes to make that algorithm work, that's protected from being copied, exactly like the words in a book. Okay, let's bring it all home. We're going to wrap this up by consolidating everything into a really practical summary of the key laws. This is the stuff you absolutely positively need to know for your exam. Think of this next slide as your ultimate cheat sheet for Unit I. Here it is. This table lays it all out, connecting each type of IP we've discussed to its specific governing law in India. Knowing these acts, the Patents Act, the Trademarks Act, and so on, is simply non-negotiable. This is the core legal framework you have to commit to memory for this unit.
And to leave you with something to really think about, we've talked all about the law as it stands today, but what about tomorrow? With AI now creating incredible art, writing music, and even coming up with inventions, who's the creator? Is it the programmer who wrote the AI, the person who gave it the prompt, or is it the AI itself? The next chapter of IP law is literally being written as we speak. And how the law answers that question, well, that's a challenge that your generation of lawyers is going to have to figure out. Good luck with your studies.